Hi there. Before we start, I would just like to clarify something. So recall that in the previous videos, I keep mentioning that the parabola form x minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k and y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h are called the vertex form. Take note that I would like to apologize since actually this one is a mistake, as this form is actually called the focus or directrix form of a parabola. So take note of that one, and sorry again for that mistake. And in this video, to clarify things, I would share the different types of the parabola so that we won't have any confusion anymore when we are talking about its forms. So let's have the forms of a parabola. The most basic one is the general form, which is given by y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, or in horizontal form, horizontal orientation, it's given by x equals ay squared plus by plus c. So how did we obtain this? Well, recall the standard form of a conic section, and in here we'll have a parabola if either a is equal to 0 or b is equal to 0. Either of the two, but not both 0. Since if both of these are 0, then we'll have a linear one. So we suppose the case that b is equal to 0. And you can do the same on your own for the case that a is equal to 0. So if b is equal to 0, then we'll have ax squared plus cx plus dy plus e equals 0. Now in here, our goal is to isolate dy on the left. So we'll move ax squared, cx, and e to the right to obtain dy equals negative ax squared minus cx minus e. Then we can divide d on both sides of the equation to obtain y equals negative ad x squared minus c over d x minus e over d. Now in here, take note that these are just constants. So to obtain the form that we want, we can set these to be a, b, and c. So to be more specific, we include the negative part out here. So we can make this like that. So that we'll indeed get ax squared plus bx plus c, which is what we want. So you can do the same for this one just by setting a to be 0 this time. And so that is the general form of a parabola. The next form is what we know already, the focus or directrix form, which is given by this. So the one mentioned previously. Again, these forms vary depending on their orientation. The first one is for the vertical orientation, while this one out is for the horizontal orientation of a parabola. So we already know how to derive this one. You can just check it out on a video. I think it's the one where I introduced the concept of parabola, the second conic section. So let's clear this one out, and now let's move on to what the real vertex form is. So the real vertex form is given by y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, comma x equals a times y minus k squared plus h, wherein the vertex is given by this one. There. This is the vertex. Oh, by the way, the reason that this one is mentioned, the focus or directrix form, since P out here, the focal distance is mentioned. So given this form, we can easily obtain the focus and directrix just by adding P or subtracting it. Take note of that. And so for the vertex form, there are many ways that we can derive this given these two. For the general form, you can try to apply completing the square in this one. And when we complete the square, there will be a constant out here, say S, that. And then, so if we add S here, we subtract S out here. Then this one, you can factor it into this form since you completed the square. And then this one out here becomes the K part. So it's something like that, but I'll do an easier derivation of it using the focus or directrix form. So I use this one. So in here, we can divide 1 over 4p both sides to get y minus k equals 1 over 4p times x minus h squared. Then we just move negative k to the right to obtain this. Now in here, take note that 1 over 4b is just a constant, so we could replace it with a. And so given this, we had already derived this form. To derive this, you just use the other form of focus or directrix form. So that is the vertex form of a parabola. Lastly, we have the intercept form of a parabola, and this one is given by y equals a times x minus r times x minus a, or for the horizontal orientation, we have x equals a times y minus r times y minus a. So take note that the r and the s here represents the x-intercept for a parabola oriented vertically, while the r and s in this second equation represents the y-intercept, or to be more specific, intercepts. So since it's plural, for the parabola that is oriented horizontally. So for this one, it's like for the x-intercepts. So if we have this, it's this two. And if we have a horizontal orientation, it's this two. So how to obtain this? Well, just take note that ax squared plus bx plus c is quadratic. So these two are quadratic. And we know that when we have quadratic equations, we can factor them out into two linear factors. Precisely these two. And so, these are the four forms of the parabola. We have the general form, the focus or directrix form, the vertex form, and the intercept form. So I hope that given this, there won't be any confusion anymore on what the form of the parabola is. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed and learned a lot from this one. Feel free to comment down below if you have any comments, suggestions, and recommendations that you have for this video and this channel in general. So yeah, that's it, and that's all for this video.